Mic check 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and it looks like the buy two get one promo deal is only going to be around for about another, I would say, a day or so. One of the things that I didn't realize was that it was only for pro members. I honestly did not even realize that. But I've been taking advantage pretty much ever since it started. The fact that the Switch 2 release this week is great because I think it took a lot of energy and attention away from the buy two get one promo. And it just had everyone really kind of just focusing more on the Switch 2, which that works great for me because, I actually happened to visit a couple more stores and there were just a ton of games just sitting around. But because everyone was so hyper focused on, um, the Switch 2, some of those games were still available for the picking, including The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks, Donkey Kong, Earthworm Jim, Def Jam Vendetta, just to name a few. So I've honestly done a lot of damage this week. And even last week during the 4 and the 20 for 40. Maybe I'll do a recap. Well, I still have to do my April recap, which April, man, it turned out to be really busy, a lot busier than I had anticipated in terms of the pickups. But as I mentioned, I did have some online deals as well. I did do some online pickups, and one of those games has come in the mail, and that is this copy of Super Mario Kart for the Super Nintendo. There's like certain Mario games that I do want to get, like I do want to have them like in their original format. I actually play a lot of Mario Kart, this version, like Super Mario Kart. My daughter loves this version on the Switch Online service, which I thought was cool. And because of how much she likes it, I actually wanted to have a copy that I could just have independently and not necessarily need the Switch Online service and just be able to play whenever I wanted to play it. So this was actually really cool to find online and to be able to take advantage of, with the bundle. The majority of these games, I think, on their own are marginal in terms of whether or not they're worth picking up from GameStop. But what pushes them over the edge for me and makes them, value adds is obviously the fact that I'm getting, every third game for free. So to me that makes sense. And then when you factor in just kind of like the pro member discount that you get along with the 5% that you get back in coupons, you wind up getting like a decent amount back just in, that's just 10%, because you're getting 5% on the back end in terms of credits towards another game, and then you're getting the upfront 5% discount, so it winds up being like 10%, which makes the overall bundle, right? When you factor all the percentages and discounts and everything, you're pretty much getting all of these games at 70% off. So, well, really 72% off if my math is right. Um, but I think the bigger thing for me is when I'm able to get games that I can use uh, to trade, right? And I was able to take a few of the games that I got that were free, pretty much used all of the free games, and I'm bundling them together to be able to make a really sick Sega Saturn trade. Uh, been trading with this person a few times now, and it's been pretty successful. We're able to come to a deal. So I will be adding another Sega Saturn game to the collection, which I'm pretty excited about just being able to do that. And then I also may be adding another Sega CD game to the collection as well. So, we're in a very interesting time where, collections are going in a lot of directions. You've got some people who are going heavier into retro. You've got some people who are walking away from retro. Um, I'm still in a bit of a mixed phase. I have a little bit of everything. I've got retro all the way back to the third gen. I've got stuff all the way up to the PlayStation 5. I mean, I only have one game on the PlayStation 5, but still, I am officially a part of the PlayStation 5 ecosystem. Obviously, I have a decent Switch collection. My Switch collection is actually a lot smaller than it could have been. If you go back like a few years, I used to do a lot of Switch videos, like a lot of top fives and top tens on the Switch. I know a lot of you really enjoyed those videos because I had a lot of like limited run stuff. I had a lot of super rare stuff, Pixel Heart, Night Callus, you name it. I had a lot of those different games from those companies, but I want to say, I wanted to trade those away to kind of get some of the games that I just were really hard for me to find, even on eBay. And I actually flipped a lot of my old Switch games into like Neo Geo complete unbox games, like Neo Geo AES games, and just different games that I have, complete unbox Super Nintendo games, things like that. So, and I've never, sorry, I've never been one to try and collect a full set of any console. I've always just been into getting the games that I want to get. The games that make the most sense to me, um, the games that I like. And so this was one that I liked. This was one I wanted to get back into the collection, along with some of the others that you kind of see here. No grails, by any stretch of the imagination. Most of these games are pretty common games, pretty standard games. But the game that I do have coming, the game that I'm trading for, is somewhat of a grail. Some of you might consider it a grail, maybe some of you don't. But I think all in all, it's been good. So, what are my plans now? Well, I'm probably going to try to see if I can go to a couple more stores that I know typically carry retro to see what other retro games I can pick up today. Today will probably be the last like retro hunting day, both in store and online. Just going to see what else. Maybe there are some games that I missed or things that I passed up on during, my first run. Maybe I'll go back and see some games that I probably want to take advantage of. So I'll take a look and see what I can do there. And then I think once the weekend comes, like once Saturday comes, I'll probably dedicate more of my attention towards Switch stuff. So I'll see what pre-owned Switch stuff is good. Stuff that I've kind of traded away that I could possibly get back. We'll probably be looking for games like Daemon X Machina. I've traded that game away. I'll probably try to get that back. Carry On is another Switch game that I want to get back. Double Dragon, Gaiden. I'm gonna look to see if I can find any of the Ray Storm, Ray Crisis games on the Switch. I would like to get those back for the Switch. Just certain games that I know were probably more like indie titles, but were still carried by GameStop. So, like The Last Faith, Skull, Death's Gambit, just games like that. Games that I know will probably not be available from GameStop because usually those Switch games they go. They really go like quick. GameStop doesn't really get a lot of copies of those types of games anyway, so it's a long shot. But I'll be hunting indie titles for the Switch and maybe a little bit for the PlayStation 4 because mostly what they usually carry at most GameStops I see on the PS4 is all like AAA titles. I mean, you might see a copy of like Attack on Titan or Attack on Titan 2 here and there. Um, you may see like a copy of Berserk and the Band of the Hawk, which you don't even see that anymore. I think that's Koei Tecmo, if I'm not mistaken. You guys can let me know down in the comments. But a lot of the indie stuff, even on like the Switch and the PS4, you don't see in store anymore. But I will probably do the majority of my current gen game hunting on Saturday, and it will include the Switch, the PS4, and probably the PS5. So that's the strategy. That's where I'm at with it. Let me know what you guys have been up to. Have you found anything? Has your sole focus just been on the Switch too? Let me know where you're at, and I'll catch you in the next video. It's the Y2K Collector. Take it easy.